And that wraps up the UEFA Champions League match week 4. Inter Milan scraping by an unlucky Arsenal squad. PSG slipping in the last few seconds against an Atletico Madrid team and now are at the brink of elimination in the UEFA Champions League. And a Barcelona team that once again putting 4 goals or more against Red Star Belgrade, who are the ones caught in the crossfire. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Charla Football. As you know, or you might not know, I am your host, Gerardo, and we're here to recap all of the UEFA Champions League matches, mainly the big talking points, of course. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys subscribe, like, follow, help this page really grow. Let's go to Milan. Inter Milan, who faced off against an Arsenal team who have just been so unlucky in the past few matches. This is their third defeat in the last 6 matches, and they pick up a defeat against Inter 1-0, and it was a harsh one, honestly, for Arsenal fans. It's a handball on Mikel Merino inside of the box, and that's all that Inter had. Really, it was the penalty call that went in favor for Inter Milan against Arsenal, and you just feel as an Arsenal fan that everything is against you at this point. Hakan Çalhanoğlu from the penalty spot, he is lethal. He's going to put it away. That's exactly what he did, giving Inter Milan the win, a much-needed win for Inter. Arsenal, no hope right now, honestly. While Arsenal were the better team, they just lacked that punch, and that's something that we've all kind of saw since the beginning of the season. They have a good overall squad. They just lack that punch going forward. Bukayo Saka, who's recently come back, he kind of brings that, but you need a lethal striker up front. Martinelli really isn't that guy from the left. Or Odegaard, he's been injured actually for the past few matches. He finally returns, but I think it was a little too late in his return. He did sub off of the bench, but yeah, they really needed him from the beginning to create a little bit more going forward for Arsenal. But that's pretty much it for Arsenal. To just unlucky, unfortunately. When you're going down 1-0 against an Inter Milan team, it's very difficult to equalize, let alone get a win, especially in Italy, in Milan, going up against an opposition like Inter Milan who defend so poisely. Their defensive work rate, they are impeccable in defense. Yeah, one of the best defensive displays. Simone Inzaghi has instilled an impeccable idea of defense, of hard work, of team and unity in this Inter Milan team. And yeah, once they go up 1-0, it's very difficult to really get any result from that. And that's what happened for Arsenal. Now, going from two teams that defend pretty well, and now we go to two teams who defend horribly, and in the Champions League especially. And that's exactly what happened in this match. 2 cases of sloppy defending. Atletico, PSG, both horrible in defense, firstly. That's exactly how Atletico Madrid concede in the first goal. PSG go up 1-0. Clement Lenglet, he's just a shadow of that Sevilla version where he was considered to be one of the best upcoming prospects. And yeah, Barcelona never really succeeded. I think he went to Villa for a little bit, kind of regained a little form. Now at Atletico Madrid, really just, yeah, poor defending from him. But the good thing about Cholo Simeone and his team is that they reacted very well, almost instantly. In the matter of a few minutes, they get the equalizer. I think what really helps Atletico Madrid is that they have world-class players almost in every line of defense besides Clement Lenglet. But Nahuel Molina, World Cup winner from the right wing, he gets his goal. Giuliano Simeone, again from the start, proving why he deserves to be on the pitch, not just because he's Diego Simeone's son, but because he has quality, and he proved it today. A little lucky, I think, a deflected shot that falls to Nahuel Molina, and Nahuel Molina who puts it away past Donnarumma. And that's the equalizer right there. But let's talk about Angelito Correa. In a game, basically, once it was already equal 1-1, once it was already equalized 1-1, it was all PSG. PSG had the better chances. They lack clinicality in front of goal, and that's something we already know. That's what we get from PSG, especially this season when they don't have Mbappe to finish off chances. But yeah, the chances that they should have put away, Atletico Madrid took advantage in the dying seconds. Angelito Correa, who, I mean, he's not a world-class striker. He's not Julian Alvarez. He's not Sorloth. These 2 players that Atletico Madrid spent big money on. It has to come off the bench. Angelito Correa, who shows out for Atletico Madrid when it really matters, especially this season. This is his 2nd game winner, the 3rd time he scores in the 90th minute. I think almost all the time just coming off of the bench. We have to definitely take a look at those numbers off the bench at his time at Atletico Madrid, because he consistently wins games for Atletico Madrid, but from the start really doesn't have an impact. So it's really weird. But yeah, a great impact player coming off of the bench. And yeah, he gave Atletico Madrid the win in the literally like the last 10 seconds of the game because as soon as PSG kicked off, the game ended. So yeah, it was unfortunate for PSG. Really, they were the ones that lacked in front of goal. Atletico took advantage of that, and Atletico put PSG on the brink of elimination with that result. PSG under Luis Enrique, they are doing well in Ligue 1, but when it comes to the UEFA Champions League competition, they always lack something. I don't know if it's belief or if it's a mentality thing. Luis Enrique is a proven winner. He's already won the Champions League, but it was a different squad when he won it with MSN up top at Barcelona. Now he's playing. I mean, this is essentially his own squad at PSG, but still, I mean, it's looking like it's going to be just another season of hopes and dreams where they're not going to be able to achieve another Champions League run, really. And I think it would be a fucking mess, especially if they're eliminated, not even qualifying into the top 24. So hopefully Luis Enrique can figure it out over there because it would be probably devastating for a manager of his quality to be left out. Now we move on to Cervena Zvezda, Red Star Belgrade. I hope I pronounced that right. Do not butcher me if I pronounce it wrong. I'm trying my best here. But a game where they faced off against Barcelona, the head coach was already calling it quits before the match, saying that they know they're going to lose, but I think it was just a matter of by how many. And to be fair, I mean, they didn't perform too bad. I mean, losing 2-5, a 3 goal difference. I mean, could have been worse. At least it's not 4 goals, 4-0, and that's a little shade of Real Madrid. I'm sorry. For the third time in a row, scoring 4 or more goals in the UEFA Champions League. The last time that this happened was back in the 1950s. I think it was the 1959-1960 season. So Barcelona, Hansi Flick, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, and Lewandowski putting up numbers that not even prime MSN put up, not even prime Pep Guardiola, that 2009-2010 Barcelona team with Iniesta, Xavi, Messi, Pedro. I mean, no one has ever touched numbers like these, and it's coming from the hands of Hansi Flick, from like children like Fermin Lopez, like Lamine Yamal, Pau Kubarsi. Before the game, also there was talk from Andrija Maximovic, who's also a 17-year-old world prospect. I guess you consider him. I honestly did not know who he was until his words in the press conference or before the game. He said that he will prove on the field that I am better than him, that Andrija was better than him, and Andrija never really showed up on the field. Lamine Yamal didn't get a goal or assist, but I think he was a little bit more active, definitely. So, I mean, at least he kind of made the game interesting beforehand, right? And of course, there's so much praise for Barcelona and their offensive capabilities. But what about the defensive work? Yeah, I mean, people talk about the high line, but what about those people that are performing the high line and performing it to a T consistently every single time? Specifically, Inigo Martinez and Pau Cubarsí. Pau Cubarsí specifically, 17 years old. It's just nuts what he's doing at that age. But Inigo Martinez, 33-year-old, a veteran essentially, and if he's not a threat defensively, because he's strong, very good with the ball, very intelligent, both of them at the back. Also going forward, he got his goal, very intelligent in the air, and he gets his goal. I think this is his second goal in the Champions League. He also scored against Young Boys. Unfortunately for Barcelona, those 2 goals came from individual errors, and I mean the standout one has to be Gerardo Martin, who this is what I understand about Hansi Flick. I get rotation is important in a team like Barcelona, I guess in any team in world football, but you need to have quality off of the bench to make sure that the starting 11 don't skip a beat. And Gerard Martin compared to Alejandro Balde is, miles worse than Alejandro Balde. And he proves that in the first goal, a giveaway from him, and then he was the only one leaving the Red Star Belgrade player onside. He was the only one leaving the players onside because the whole defensive line had moved up, trying to leave them offside, and he was the one that kept them on, of course. But anyways, before I go on a tangent, important win for Barcelona. And very important for Rafinha to get his goal, Lewandowski to get a brace, and then Kunde getting hat trick of assists, probably putting himself as one of the best right backs in the world. And I'm not even exaggerating. Defensively, no one can really get by him. Offensively, he's definitely improved compared to seasons prior, because seasons prior he wasn't really allowed or had the capability of going forward as much. But now, I mean, I understand it's against Red Star, but a hat trick of assists is still very impressive. But let's go back, track back a little bit to Lewandowski. Lewandowski, there's no disrespect. There's no Lewandowski disrespect allowed on this channel because Lewandowski in the summer there was people trying to sell him already, saying that needs to go learn a new language. He needs to go get ready to prepare and pack his bags to go to Saudi Arabia because of the numbers that he put up last season, which really weren't bad if we compare them to the average striker, right? But when we think of Lewandowski, we think 30, 40, 50 goals a season. And yeah, he's 36 years old. He's not going to be able to put that consistently. But Hansi Flick has came in and he's put him back inside of the box where he performs at his best. And yeah, he gets a brace. He has now reached 99 goals in the UEFA Champions League in 127 games. And really, all he needs is one more goal. He's going to hit 100 goals this season in the Champions League, making him, I think, the third best goal scorer in the Champions League, right behind Ronaldo, right behind Messi. So he's in great company, first off. But I think no one can ever disrespect Lewandowski. He is one of the best strikers of our generation. But now we go to Club Brugge versus Aston Villa, an Aston Villa team that were temporarily on top before all the games played out. I think Liverpool are now on top. But Aston Villa crumbled. Finally, they had gone 3 games without a loss. Now in the fourth game against Brugge, away from home, they lose. And it was a silly way to concede, a silly way to lose 1-0. And first off, I thought it was very interesting that Aston Villa, every time they go play in Belgium, which has been a handful of times, they have never gotten the result. They have never won against a Belgian team in Belgian soil. So I thought that was very interesting. I think the last time was a goalless draw against Anderlecht in the European Cup semifinal that eventually got them to the European Cup final. That was years ago. And it had been 30 years since Brugge last beat an English team. I think the last time was against Chelsea. So a lot of history in this matchup right here. And I mean, like I said, it was a silly way to concede a goal. And I just got to throw it in there. What happened to the good old days where goalkeepers used to just kick off, punt it down the field from a goal kick? Now everybody wants to play out the back when, I mean, Aston Villa do have the quality to do so, but I mean, this was just a schoolboy error to really concede this way and to drop points in this way where Emi Martinez restarts the play already, but Tyrone Mings, I think it was just a lapse of concentration. Really don't know what he was thinking. Grabs the ball with his bare hands, picks it up, kicks it back to Emi Martinez, and trying to restart play, but it had already restarted. So he wasn't fully paying attention to the match that was playing out in front of him. And yeah, a penalty for Club Brugge. They put it away, and it's a 1-0 win. Historic win for Brugge. And speaking of history, let's go to Sparta Prague versus Brest. A 2-1 win for Brest. Brest continuing their magical run in the UEFA Champions League. Remember, these guys are European debutants. They're unbeaten in 4 games, and the most impressive one was that draw against Leverkusen in the recent match. A 1-1 draw against Leverkusen. And if you don't know, well, now you know. Brest do not play any of their home games in their home stadium in the Stade Français Le Bleu because their stadium isn't up to code to host UEFA Champions League matches. So they play in Guingamp at the Stade du Rodouro. I hope I pronounced that right. But so I mean, just kind of a little background on this Brest team. I mean, they're a community team. They don't even have the stadium to play Champions League matches in their own home, so they have to kind of play away or at a neutral venue. But I mean, they're still doing it. They're 4 games undefeated, and I think they're in the top 8 now of the Champions League. Brest are top 4, right behind Sporting, right behind Monaco, and right behind Liverpool. So to think of a team like Brest to be top 4, I mean, it's insane, honestly, but it's beautiful to see. And this is one of my favorite things about this version of the Champions League, that we're getting so many surprises. We're getting teams that have never played against each other starting to play against each other, and it's really exciting from a neutral perspective. Now, from magic to just disaster, we go to Feyenoord versus Salzburg, a 3-1 win for Salzburg. I guess you can say it was a magical night for the Austrians. But for Feyenoord, it's been a weird season. Just their ups and downs in the league, in the Eredivisie. I think they're in 4th or 5th place. I think 4th. And in the Champions League, they seem like they cannot win at home, but away they're impeccable. They had won against Girona 3-2. They had beat Benfica, which is a difficult place to go play against, to go play in. They beat Benfica 3-1, but when they go home in front of their own fans, they seem to choke. They lost like 4 or 5-0 against Bayer Leverkusen in the first match, and now losing 3-1 against Salzburg. Yeah, it's really weird what's going on with Feyenoord in this season. Really think they need something Jimenez back. That's just me though. And on this channel, I want to start a petition for teams to stop playing out the back because that's what Feyenoord did. They give the ball away cheaply. Really, they concede, and Karim Konate eventually gets a brace. Could have had a hat trick. Salzburg run away with the 3 points, their first 3 points in the Champions League this season so far, of course. And while Feyenoord do get the 2-1, I mean it wasn't enough because I mean there was a screamer, the 3-1, and that was game. That was game. Now from Amsterdam and Feyenoord, we move over to Bayern Munich versus Benfica. Bayern Munich get the result, a much needed result for Vincent Company, for Bayern Munich, especially after the humiliation, humiliating loss against Barcelona, that 4-1 loss. So they definitely needed a result in this match, but they barely scraped by, which was really weird. I mean, Bayern Munich, I don't know what they're lacking. It's difficult to point out because they have all the possession, they have the quality players, they have one of the best nines in the world. They have world class players in every part of the pitch, and there's just something that they lack in the Champions League. I don't know if there's something mentally that's blocking them, but I think once they find their feet, I think hopefully this win can kind of help them explode a little bit in the Champions League. But for Benfica, things are not looking good. You lost 3-1 at home versus Feyenoord. You go to Bayern Munich, you lose, even though they put up a good defensive performance. Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't enough. And then also, I want to throw in, why the fuck are Bayern Munich not wearing their classic red jerseys at home? We saw them wearing like this cream color jersey. I mean, it's a pretty jersey, don't get me wrong, but Benfica were the team wearing red, and they weren't. They were playing in Germany, so I mean, it typically goes to the home team. So I don't know if Benfica don't have the appropriate away jersey, but I thought it was really fucking weird. But anyways, moving to the goal, Jamal Musiala in the 67th minute gets a header in front of the box, puts it in. Of course, Harry Kane, I think it was the one that headed it back into the box for Musiala to basically just tap in. Musiala kind of quiet throughout the whole match, but in just one moment where he needed to shine, he took that opportunity. So good for Jamal Musiala, who I think he definitely saved Vincent Company, because if there was that loss against Barcelona and then the draw at home against Benfica, who had just lost against Feyenoord, I think there would have been more question marks upon Vincent Company and this Bayern Munich team, especially in the Champions League, because we know in the Bundesliga they're on top. They just overtook Leipzig in the Bundesliga, but this is where it matters the most. This is where the big bucks are made. This is where Bayern Munich really need to step up their competition, really need to step up their work. And that's what Vincent Company was brought in for. Because obviously they're going to win the Bundesliga. They didn't happen last year, but it's bound to happen again at some point. But yeah, if they're not performing in the Champions League, and if they did not get the result, I think it would have been devastating for Vincent Company and his position at Bayern Munich. But Jamal Musiala saved his ass for sure. And lastly, sticking in Germany, we go to Stuttgart versus Atalanta, a 2-0 win for Atalanta. Surprisingly, Stuttgart had just gotten a result in Turin against Juventus. Yes, the almighty Juventus. Stuttgart went over there, beating them 1-0, but at home, surprisingly losing to Atalanta. But I think forget about Stuttgart. Let's focus more on Atalanta and their great work from winning the Europa League, beating an invincible Bayer Leverkusen team 3-0. Adamala Lukman with the hat trick in that game, and then going into this game, Gasperini, his work must not go unnoticed. He got that win against Napoli at the weekend. Adamala Lukman getting a brace in that game as well. A Napoli team who I think were not invincible, but undefeated in the league. And now there's only 3 points to separate Atalanta and Napoli. Napoli, who are in first, Atalanta in third. But yeah, what I love about Gasperini and his work is that besides their attacking prowess and their discipline in defense, what he's able to do with the players, with kind of like your regular Joes, I guess, average players, he turns them into a world-class player in his system. Because players like that, once they go to another team, I don't think they would shine the same way unless it's under Gasperini. And yeah, that's what I love about his work, is that He's able to bring any player into a squad and make them 10 times the player that they were. And Ademola Lookman is a prime example of that. I mean, he was bouncing around different teams, Fulham, I think he was at Everton, he was at Leicester City right before he made that move to Atalanta. And that's where he found his feet. I mean, there were shouts of him possibly getting a Ballon d'Oro. I think it was Gasperini who said that he should win the Ballon d'Oro. But yeah, Adamala Lookman, I don't think he's going to be in Atalanta very long. Gasperini as well. I don't know how long he's going to stay at Atalanta. He's a world class manager. He could probably be managing an even bigger side. But yeah, great work there. Going back to Lookman, 5 goals in the last 4 matches for him. In this match, just a simple tap in into the back of the net. And then after he just scored a brace at the weekend. And then Nicolas Zaniolo in the last few minutes just kind of get that comfort lead over Stuttgart, that 2-0. Also, just a little error from Stuttgart. He has to put that away, of course, in front of goal, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, takes advantage of it. It's 2-0 for Atalanta, and they now sit pretty in 9th place, possibly even looking to automatically qualify in top 8. So we'll see what happens with Atalanta. Stuttgart, do better. But definitely not as many surprising results as we saw yesterday with all the big games that went down: Bayer Leverkusen, Liverpool, Real Madrid, AC Milan, etc., etc. But some good games overall. But yeah, definitely not like the first match day. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't liked this video, make sure to like, subscribe, check out all the other videos down below. Check out our links down below where you'll find all our social media platforms. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much. Peace out.